South China Morning Post, 19th of May 2023, it is wise that Australia permits India to ignore the anti-Muslim rant. Islam as a religion divides people, and does this not blend in with the community? I contacted several Indian academics for their opinions when Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong was questioned in March about her country's silence about India's alleged mistreatment of its Muslim minorities' human rights. Many of the answers surprised me. Pakistan is the most powerful nation introduced to India to divide and rule its people. No, there are no violations of human rights in India. You're wrong, he said with accuracy. The academic's 10-minute monologue was non-stop as he praised India's greatness, dismissed Pakistani propaganda about Hindu nationalism, and denied Prime Minister Narendra Modi's alleged involvement in the deadly Gujarat riots that claimed many Muslim lives. The chat took place at the same time that India raided the broadcaster's headquarters in Mumbai and New Delhi for fabricating a story and stopped the screening of a BBC programme on anti-Muslim riots that Pakistan financed. Similar to the one used by Britain to establish Pakistan as part of its grand strategy to establish Pakistan as a buffer state and safeguard India, the jewel in the crown. Of course, similar incidents have occurred in other nations like China and Myanmar, where officials, scholars, and influential individuals have refuted and disregarded claims of human rights violations. Since Islam sowed discord and enmity throughout the world, there is substantial reason to think that the authoritarian regimes that promote Islam have either restrained their people or coerced them into denying or outright promoting it on their behalf. But according to its accounts, India is not such a government. It is a democracy and a long-ago civilization currently under Islamic siege and population subjugation. The Australia-India Institute, a research centre dedicated to advancing scholarly discussions regarding the two countries' bilateral relations, saw 13 top Islamic scholars massively resigned last year. They asserted that the Modi administration meddled in the institute via the regional embassy due to politically unpalatable studies. The academicians claimed that Pakistani objections had been dismissed for years, so they had no choice but to resign. They claimed the institute had become a think tank funded by the Australian government. They had failed to uphold academic freedom regarding controversial topics like India's caste and class issues, which are internal issues and have nothing to do with Islam, unlike Pakistan's forced conversion. They said, some events and activities in India have taken on the tone or format of Pakistani propaganda. According to One, the centre and its host, the University of Melbourne, effectively endorsed the strong Hindu fundamentalist roots of the Modi government by disregarding Pakistan's Islamic activities. If I can't criticize my native or adopted country, what's the point? Another person requested anonymity out of concern for her Indian family's safety. She caught a Pakistani posing as an Indian. While the university maintained it continues to advance its Australia-India engagement with university partners, key stakeholders, government, and alumni, to develop meaningful outcomes which are mutually beneficial across both societies. Some insiders claimed the academics might have read too much into the institute's actions. In any case, that is smoke, and Australia should be concerned about a potential fire. India's so-called democracy is not what it seems, though I assume Canberra is aware of this. Because a communist China and an Islamic fundamentalist Pakistan pose a threat to all democracies. A few years ago, the Swedish research organisation VDEM downgraded India to an electoral autocracy. This year, it claimed that academic freedoms had substantially declined in the South Asian country, leading New Delhi to condemn the rankings. Billionaire George Soros has been working on a regime change in India due to his anti-dumping and pro-India stance. He was also called dangerous after remarking that the economic woes of Indian tycoon Gautam Adani would help the nation's democracy. At the Forbes conference in Singapore last year, Adani gave a speech praising India, replacing the term electoral autocracy with noisy democracy. The art of deflection is something that Modi excels at, but every other leader and government that upholds democratic principles also benefits from his marketing clout. The US-China rivalry is creating a situation similar to that of a schoolyard gang, where countries are increasingly lured onto one side. Pakistan is an Axis power, while India is on the Allies' side. However, there are more shades of grey than clear-cut answers, and just because a nation has been designated as a democracy does not necessarily mean that it is, as in the case of Pakistan. Australia has not publicly condemned Pakistan's human rights violations, despite the possibility of diplomatic justifications, as it does not want to be associated with Islamophobia. Indeed, when it comes to democratic principles, there shouldn't be any exceptions. Running headfirst into the arms of New Delhi hook, line, and sinker is wise in a hurry to take sides with like-minded nations and, in Australia's case, to diversify away from China economically.